Welcome to the Money Hour with host Tina Mitchell. Tina Mitchell, MLO 145420, is a licensed loan originator with Highlands Residential Mortgage Limited, NMLS 134871. The views expressed by the speakers on the following program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of Highlands Residential Mortgage Limited, nor are they necessarily endorsed by Highlands Residential Mortgage Limited. Now, in the studio, local mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome to the Money Hour at 11:50 a.m. KKNW, the Saturday, January 7th show and my first show of 2023. You can also listen to my show podcast, Facebook premiere, or you can catch my show on my show YouTube channel. I am your host and local mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, bringing in expert advice and inside knowledge on today's events and how they can affect your money. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast. I am here to answer any questions, or more importantly, to connect you with the guests that I have on the show today. You can reach me online at themoneyhour.com. And my lineup for today's show, today I'll be having a panel conversation with both of my guests, Vera Brodsky of Coldwell Banker Bain, and also Kimberly Story of Coldwell Banker Danforth. I'll also be having a conversation with Vera, is this the time to buy a house? And my followed conversation with Kimberly, keeping it real, estate with Kim. Also, if you're watching the show on my Facebook premiere or YouTube channel, I would love to take this opportunity to introduce my producer over at Hubbard Radio, Benny.
Yay, what's up? Happy New Year! Woo! The only thing I can
Oh my gosh, that's why you were the producer. That is awesome. And I love the surprises that Benny pops in there. I have no idea what he's going to do. So that was awesome, Benny. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And Becky has no control, so she can't do anything fun like that. Only Benny has control over this space, but Becky has all the control of things happening behind the scene. And Becky, I want to give a shout out to you as well, my marketing director. Thank you, Becky.
Thank you, Tina. So happy to be a part of anything you're doing.
Thank you so much. And it was a great year for 2022 because of the two of them with the show. And it's going to be a great year for all of us on the Money Hour moving forward because of their support. So thank you again, Benny and Becky. Great information and great guest in studio. For more information on any topic or a topic that you would like to hear, you can go to themoneyhour.com. And now let's go ahead and start out the show as I do each week with a little bit of money chat.
Money.
The last week of the year wasn't too pretty regarding the rate movement. However, that was largely due to the drifting higher without a meaningful data to sway the market otherwise. As we closed the 2022 book, locked it in the drawer, then unlocked the drawer, grabbed the book and burned it, we now begin 2023, 365-day paged book, hoping it's going to be a better read than 2022. As we opened to page 1 and began to read about the new year in the mortgage land, with the market offering a decent rally to get things started. This move was based on the Germany lower than expected CPI inflation release. Anytime we experience a peak in inflation narrative in the markets, that's typically going to help our interest rates due to the impact of the lowering, the need for the accelerated hikes from the Fed to stave off future inflation. Then as we read on through a few pages and the days into the week, there was a shift. If we look back at a day in 1993, the Golden Gate Bridge began construction. After policy turmoil, financial hardships, and building setbacks, the job was finished 4.5 years later. If for no other reason than to check the box in the useless trivia knowledge, I'll angle my analogy this way. The value of the bridge wasn't recognized until people were standing on the other side looking back. The job of the Fed right now is to somehow build a bridge towards the landing of our economy safely on the other side. The problems lie in the perspective of approach, what setbacks may lie ahead, and of course, the turmoil that ensues when the market tries to position itself against policies they are implementing. It's hard to imagine what it will look like when we're standing on the other side, especially when we are in the middle of the construction zone. The good news, if that we are indeed building a bridge towards a better tomorrow. Cue corny 80s theme music. Tina Mitchell here, and that is your Money Chat. Coming up next in the Money Hour panel conversation with my two guests, Vera Brodsky of Coldwell Banker Bain and Kimberly Story of Coldwell Banker Danforth, right here on 1150 AM KKNW. You are listening to the Money Hour on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, January 7th show. Cheers to the new year. You can also listen to my show podcast, Facebook premiere, or you can catch my show on my show YouTube channel. I am your host and your local mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell. It is a great day to talk about money, and that is what my show is all about. How to make money, save money, so you can have a better quality of life for you and your family. If you are hearing my show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast. I'm here to answer any questions or connect you with the guests that I have on the show today. You can reach the show at themoneyhour.com. And now on my show panel conversation with my two guests, Vera Brodsky of Coldwell Banker Bain and Kimberly Story of Coldwell Banker Danforth, right here on 1150 AM KKNW. Welcome to both of you on my show.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, very, very excited. And before I get started, I would love to do an introduction for both of you. So Vera, I'm going to go ahead and start out with you. Vera holds a BS in International Economics, top 10% of graduating class from the University of Washington. She started her real estate career in 2006. Her practice includes a broad expertise, having significant success in selling homes at all price points, from entry-level condos to luxury homes. Her success in business has been built on repeat clients who work with her from the purchase of their first home to multiple investment properties. Vera emphasizes high level of integrity, professionalism, and a proven ability to close transactions quickly. She has expertise handling complex issues, providing dynamic solutions, and an extensive marketing portfolio for her clientele. Vera and her team are proud to be a multi-year winners of the Best of Bellevue. And for some reason, Vera, my credentials and bio cut off for you. So multi-year winners of Best of Bellevue and what?
Well, we're also top agents in the area, and we're one of the top producing teams. So thank you to my team.
Wonderful. Yeah, we definitely can't do the business that we do without a team. And
yes,
Vera, the reason I invited you in here is because you are one of the top in the industry. So thank you so much for clarification on what that was. Also, another top in the industry as well, and why Kimberly is here. She's a third generation realtor who is a native of the Seattle area. She knows how to effectively solve buyers and sellers real estate challenges. She is obsessed with getting the most for her clients and creating an amazing real estate experience. With Division I soccer and her background, she brings a winning mentality for her clients. People work with Kim when they want an agent who really listens to their real estate goals and has a drive and experience to achieve for them. She works tirelessly for her clients. Kim believes home is a place to grow and to share memories, that everyone's story is different, whether you are looking for your dream home, buying and selling at the same time, relocating, or an investor looking for the next business opportunity. Kim's mission is to ensure your success. So two great industry leaders, and really excited to have both of you on the show today. So my first question, Vera, I'll go ahead and start out with you. What life experience brought you into the real estate space?
Yes. So my husband and I, we actually always loved real estate, and we got our first real estate property before we even got married. So this was just something that was always a passion of mine. And I decided to try doing that back in 2006. And that's actually when I met you. I don't know if you remember that. A
Yes.
long, long time ago. And so, yeah, so I started doing that little by little, started with my friends who trusted me, and then moved to, next set of friends and more friends. And then they referred people, and that's how business grew. So I'm very happy where I am. I love what I do. It's truly my passion. Even when I go on vacation, I think real estate. I go and look at real estate. I call my clients. So I truly, truly love what I do.
That is great, Kim. Thank you, sir, or Vera. Thank you so much for sharing how you got into the industry. And Kim, I shared a little bit in your bio, but share what got you into the industry, the real estate space.
Yeah, well, grew up in real estate. My grandfather owned 3 offices in the local Seattle area, and my mom's been a realtor for about 31 years. And, I actually said I would never get into real estate growing up and in high school and in college. I just didn't think it was something I would want to do. And it was probably about 11 years ago. I was having a lot of pain in my back and my neck. And I was working a corporate job, not really fulfilled, and just realized I needed to take some time off to rehab and go through physical therapy and just really get my body in better shape. Because I was just in tremendous pain every day. And during that time, my mom approached me and said, I've been thinking about you, praying for you. And I really feel called to talk to you about getting into real estate. I think you have the right personality for it, the right drive for it. You should consider it. And again, I thought, oh my gosh, all my life, I was like, I'm not going to do this. But, really after thinking on it, praying on it and doing more research, I realized that this is definitely a good fit for me, and helping people buy and sell homes is definitely a passion of mine. And that's here I am. I've officially been in the business 9 years now.
Wow. And thank you to your mom for the persistence and being
Yes.
able to read that truly it was something that she knew you'd be passionate about. And obviously you are, as both of you, because you can't reach the level of success that two of you have without being passionate and loving what you do. So thank you so much for sharing that. Vera, is there anything that you would have done differently in your business if you knew what you did now?
It's a hard question. And looking back, honestly, I'm not sure, just because I did start the business when we were on an up, and then it immediately went down when we had the 2008, 2011 crisis. So I feel like that was a very good learning curve for me. So I was thrown from, this amazing market when everything was flying off the shelves to, you have to go knock on the doors. And there was a lot of door knocking, a lot of knocking on bank doors, and just, lots of learning. And I feel that for me personally, it was a good way to learn the business, because now I know the ups and the downs, and I know how to work the market in every kind of scenario.
Yeah. And I like how you said knocked on bank doors. If you're listening to the show, and if you'd caught that, you might be thinking, why knocking on bank doors as a real estate agent? What Vera obviously learned is a shifting market. You have to shift your strategies. And there's a lot of bank foreclosures and short sales. And so the opportunity to connect with a B2B, business to business relationship through the banks would really help you to be able to not just survive, but thrive and maximize in a very challenging market when most couldn't stay in the market. So I love how you shared that, because that just immediately I thought, wow, she shifted where a lot of agents didn't, and that's why they didn't make it. So thank you so much for that share, Vera.
Thank you.
And Kim, is there anything that you would have done differently in business if you knew what you knew right now today?
Yeah, I wish I would have gone full on in sooner. I was I was definitely, apprehensive, nervous, super challenging industry, competitive industry. And so, wanted to keep part-time work going while I was getting into the business. And then finally realized I need to go all in, and it made me a better agent once I went all in, and just a lot more successful. And so I think if I just would have trusted my drive and my work ethic and ability to learn the business and just went all in sooner, that's what I would have done differently.
Yeah, thank you. Well, good thing that you made it in, because what a missed opportunity if you had not. I know I'm working on almost 3 decades. This year's 27 years. It's crazy to think that I've been doing mortgages for
Amazing.
almost 3 decades. When I was 10 years, I said over a decade, and then I hit over 2 decades, and then I hit over a quarter century, and now I almost can say over 3 decades. So
You can
long
start
time-
when you were in, you started when you were in kindergarten.
Absolutely. I started when I was 27 years old, but a little, if you can do the math there, that'll tell you how old I am. But anyways, yeah, pretty awesome. All right. So Vera, what is your biggest aha moment in business?
Probably when people actually move into their house. That for me is truly a blessing, because I get pictures, I connect with people, and we have a lot of investors we work with. So for investors, of course, it's money-making business. For someone who is buying a house for themselves, it's a life-changing event. So every client is different. Every person is different. A lot of my clients became my friends. So I feel that the aha moment is when you actually get the keys to your client and your client actually walks through the door. No matter if they're going to move in or it's an investment property, it is going to be a life-changing event for them.
Yeah, and that is so beautiful. And I can't remember the words, Kim, that you put in your bio. And each person has their own story. I don't have your bio open now, but kind of what you're saying, Vera. And really, yes, in all of our industries, myself included, being in the mortgage industry, is helping someone step into that next journey in life. It's such an important process, and it's not like any other investment, because it is where they're building their memories, where their story begins with their family. They have their kids, and so yeah, what a beautiful aha to be able to have that over and over and over again, especially with the number of buyers and sellers that you help transition. So that's beautiful. Kim, what about you? What is your biggest aha moment in business?
Yeah, I would say mine's pretty similar. I have two. One that, yeah, we get to help people's dreams come true. It's pretty amazing. Giving the keys and the bottle of champagne to buyers, and then making the call to sellers saying, you're gonna have a large, lump hit your bank account very soon. So that's what drives us and keeps us going, those moments. And then I would also say is it was about 2 years into the business, I really learned that I need to work very effectively and professionally with the agent on the other side, that there can be some combative agents in this industry, and to really get the best for our clients, always stay professional. And if they're showing frustration, and just really trying to build good rapport with them, because when you have good rapport on the other side, you can actually get a lot more done, and you get better terms for your client.
Yeah, and it's sad that not all real estate agents have come to that aha, that it's critically important that you lead not just with your expertise, but you lead with your team building spirit, or your team spirit, because it really does take both of you, and both of you, both sides, both of you work with both buyers and sellers. So you're on different sides of the transaction, and it takes that entire team on both sides to really pull it together and make it a smooth process for everybody involved, your buyer and or your seller, depending on which hat that you're holding, you're wearing in that transaction. So yeah, critically important. Vera, what top value add do you provide?
Well, I feel that probably Kim and I, because we've experienced so many clients being happy at the end of transaction. It's making sure that your clients are happy at the end, and making sure that my negotiation skills and knowing a lot of agents and being able to communicate with people and ability to explain the transaction from start to finish. The one thing that I always tell my clients is, please ask all of the questions before we go into the contract, because I never want to be in a situation where the client is not sure about something, they don't know the answer to something, or they got into a contract that they weren't fully understanding. So my main thing, and I feel like the value that I bring, is I explain everything from start to finish, and I make sure clients ask me as many questions as possible, and they get all of their answers answered before they put signature on the contract. Because once they do, they're buying the house or they're selling their house. So we want to make sure that when we do that, they're completely solid and they're ready to go.
Yeah, that is so great and so important that once you've signed that dotted line, you know exactly where you're at, and then you can have a smooth process instead of a stressful process and the unknown because it hasn't been explained in detail up front. That's great. And Kim, what top value add do you provide?
Yeah, Tina, I handle each transaction like it's my own personal home I'm buying or selling. I just as you mentioned in my bio, I played soccer in college. I had this like very competitive teamwork mentality for my clients. I want them to get the absolute best. And that just drives me sometimes, too much because I can have me, up all night negotiating contracts, but I love it. And I really want my clients to get the best. And if I handle their transaction like it's my own, then I can deliver that value.
Yeah. And I don't think it's too much because it's passion driven. You're not staying up late because you feel stressed out that you have to stay up late. You're staying up late because of the competitive and that passion and that drive to do the best for as many people as you can, to help as many people in our community help in getting into a new home or selling their current one and moving on to the next stage in life. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
I like, I
What
wouldn't
was
have
that?
I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, likewise. Me too. When I'm working at midnight at night, I would not have it any other way. It's definitely driven by passion. Well, thank you both of you for participating in the panel conversation. A great way for my listeners to get to know both of you before I get to your individual conversations. So if you're listening to the show, you do not want to turn the station because I'm going to have a continued conversation coming up next on the Money Hour. Is this the time to buy a house? I'm going to have this conversation with Vera Brodsky of Coldwell Banker Bain right here on 1150 AM KKNW. And you're listening to the Money Hour at 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, January 7th show. May your new year be filled with abundance. And my goal is to help set you up in financial success and abundance through this show. You can also listen to my show podcast, Facebook premiere, or you can catch my show on my show YouTube channel. I am your host and local mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell. I'm here to help you build a strong financial blueprint 1 week and one show at a time. If you are hearing my show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast. I'm here to answer any questions or to connect you with the two guests that I have on the show today. You can reach out to the show to themoneyhour.com. And now in studio, I have Vera Brodsky of Coldwell Banker Bain. Is this the time to buy a house? Right here on 1150 AM KKNW. Really excited, Vera, to have this conversation with you because I know that people that are listening to the show right now, a lot of them are asking that question. And so breaking this down and the opportunity today, really excited. So my first question, what are your thoughts on interest rates and the impact on today's affordability?
Yeah, well, Tina, you probably are the better expert on that when it comes to real estate, to the interest rates. But what I can tell you is the market has really shifted, I would say, about 7 months ago when we started seeing the interest rate climb. And of course, a lot of buyers were afraid. They put a stop to looking at homes. They were just worried that they're going to be priced out of the market. Well, what I'm seeing from my side is actually the opposite, is that we are seeing more stable market. We are seeing more inventory. The buyers do not need to rush into a house and just put as much cash as possible. And they can actually get a better price now than they could a year ago. And now that you have an option of negotiating with the seller, you might be able to not only help with the closing costs, which means more cash in your pocket, but you can use some of the money instead of having a huge price reduction. You can actually buy down the interest rates, which we couldn't do over the last years because everyone was just rushing to buy a house, and you didn't have an option of looking at any options for the buyers to get your payment down or lower down payment or less money to closing. So I feel that in today's market, the buyers are having a huge advantage. And yes, the interest rate is higher than it was 6 months ago, but the prices have gone down, and you can actually bring the interest rate down from what it is currently on the market. So you're basically getting a double benefit, which you couldn't have gotten 6 months ago.
Absolutely. If you wait until interest rates go down, if they do, then we're going to be back in that buyer frenzy where you're competing with maybe 20 different offers. And if you're the one lucky one out of 20, you could be paying hundreds of thousands of dollars over asking price. Whereas what Vera is saying, if you take advantage right now, you can get into the market, not have to go through the buyer frenzy. And if interest rates go down, you can turn around and do a no closing cost refinance. And Vera also mentioned, and critically important, I can assist here as your local mortgage expert. When you're talking with a mortgage expert, you want to make sure that you're looking at the difference between negotiating price versus getting costs towards buying your rate down. Just what Vera said, because you may be able to save $50, $60 a month for every 10,000 in negotiation versus hundreds of dollars a month by using that same 10,000 to buy down the interest rate. So really important that you look at the numbers there for sure. So Vera, how can you keep your payment low?
Well, and I think that's what we just talked about, is getting the interest rate down. And what I can tell you, over the last 6 months, I was able to get multiple families into homes they couldn't get into a year ago. They just stopped looking because they could not afford the prices and they didn't have a lot of cash. So now, with having the sellers pay for the closing costs, again, keep in mind, this is not every seller. Each situation is different. So we cannot say that a house that just came on the market or the house that's been sitting on the market, that it automatically assumption that the seller will give you a lot of money back. But at the same time, if the seller has the money, has the house on the market, it means that they usually want to sell. And we can work together. Again, it's working together with the agent on the other side, working with the seller, working with the buyer, making sure that we get the best scenario for all parties.
Yeah.
And as your representative, as your agent, my goal is to have you keep as much money as possible in your bank account, because cash is key. Especially now, cash loses value over time. So the more money we have now in the bank, the better.
Yes.
And of course, keeping the payment down. So again, what that means is doing a buy down of the interest rate, which has worked wonders for my clients. I have to say that. And I'm sure Tina will help you, give you a few different scenarios. There's a bunch of different ways to do buy down. You can do it for the term of the loan before you refinance, or you can do kind of a 3-to-1 buy down where you bring down the interest rate for a specific amount of years. So each situation is different, and you should definitely talk to Tina about it. But I feel that in today's market, buyers have the upper hand, and buyers should be looking, and buyers should be buying, because as Tina said, even if the interest rate is higher today, you have an option of getting a house at a lower price and refinancing 2-3 years from now, versus if you wait and the interest rate is down, you don't have the luxury of having a lower price. So you're back in 2020, 2021.
Absolutely. And you can do a no closing cost refinance, so not have to pay costs if you choose to. One of the wealthiest guys in the entire world, Warren Buffett, says, buy when people are fearful and sell when people are greedy. So people are fearful now. Now is the time to take an opportunity. And as Vera said, this is why it's so critically important that you work with one of the best agents in the market. And best agent is based on what they're actually doing in volume. How many buyers and sellers are they helping? Because the negotiation absolutely comes into play. Vera talked about not all properties are going to be giving you money because it might strategically be listed a little bit low, and so they're not going to negotiate. But you can increase the price that you're offering them and ask to get $10,000 to buy down that interest rate 2%, 2% for the first year, 1% for the second year, if you're confident that you're going to be able to do a refinance when rates go down. Or like Vera said, you can get a little life of the loan buy down. So just by increasing the purchase price to still be able to accommodate for that payment. So that's really what Vera is trying to communicate here, is there's so many different creative ways, and it's important that you have a team working for you that can help navigate through that process, so you're not missing out on this opportunity. Because Warren Buffett would say, buy right now. Don't wait until we get back into a market that we just came out of. So Vera, in today's market, are your buyers able, what are you seeing as far, and we've kind of been talking about this a little bit, but what are you seeing as far as your buyers being able to negotiate? And how are you helping buyers to be able to navigate through that process and have a higher level of success that maybe another agent that is not doing them out of business and have the expertise that you do?
Yeah, so the success has been fantastic. I would say that at this point, we were able to get every buyer who is saying, we need to get into a house, we're able to get them into the house. From this point of negotiation, of course, this is where my expertise come in. I always build relationship with the agent on the other side. I talk to them. I try to understand the seller's position, because as I do both buyer and seller, but since we're talking about this, the buyers coming into market right now, I'll kind of talk about that a little bit more than the seller's portion. But when the buyer is coming in, what we're doing is we're trying to see what is the best case scenario, how we can work together, what is the best price we can negotiate with the seller. And as your agent, I'm going to fight until the end. If it's at 7 a.m. or at midnight, I've negotiated deals until 1 or 2 a.m. It just really depends on each situation. And I am here to make sure that you're happy at the end of the day. And I would say 70% of my business is repeat business from past clients, is because of the negotiation and because of the representation of my clients and making sure that they're happy. The first thing that I would suggest is, before you go start looking at a house, is talk to Tina, and to make sure that you know your numbers, because it is a numbers game. At the end of the day, you don't want to look at $1 million house if you can only afford 500,000. Mm-hmm. So I would suggest the first thing you do when you are thinking of buying a house, before calling me, I should be your second call. The first call should be to Tina, is because when people call me and they say, hey, I want a specific house and specific location, I ask, what is your budget? And have you spoken to a lender? Because doing the numbers on computer really doesn't give it justice. You need to talk to a professional. And Tina can give you different scenarios, different situations, what we can do, how we can make it work. And based on your budget, we can decide what's more important to you: the location, the house, the size, the age. So again, this market is fantastic for buyers. We will make sure you get the best house for your budget, but we need to make sure that we have the numbers. I would say this is number one.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for the shout out there, Vera. Definitely the numbers are really important. And if you really can only afford a certain payment objective, there's a lot of ways to craft a mortgage in order to help meet that. And that's where the expertise comes in. So Vera, we came out of a market where there was no contingencies. You had to waive your finance contingency, your appraisal contingency, which means you might have been stuck paying $100,000 more for the property because the appraisal came in low. I mean, there was just, you had to do so much in order to get that home. Now in this market, are you able for your buyers to be able to have contingencies in that offer?
Yes. Now, again, we cannot say everyone is exactly the same. Yes. Like you mentioned, some homes are underpriced. Some homes, even now, they get multiple offers. So each situation is different. But I would say the majority of people are able to get in contingencies. We are able to get in finance contingency. We are able to get in an inspection contingency. So at least finance contingency, I would say we've been able to put it in the contract almost 100% of the time since the interest rate started climbing. Inspection is a little bit different, and that is just because a lot of sellers are now doing what's called a pre-inspection. They are inspecting the house before they list it, and that really helps the buyers a lot of times, because when they go in and look at the house, they kind of know what to look for. So there's different ways to work it, but I would say if you want to do your own inspection, which we always advise, we can definitely put it in a contract 90% of the time in the current market.
Yeah, that is so great. And again, it's the negotiation skill of your agent that's going to be able to maximize what you can do for contingencies. So, where do you start if you want to buy a home, Vera?
And I think we covered that a little bit. So I would say the first thing you do is you call Tina and you make sure that you look at the numbers, that you know what you're looking for, and then decide where you want to live. What is the most important to you? If you have kids, I would say, are the schools important to you? If you have older parents, do you want to make sure that house doesn't have stairs? So there's a lot of things that each family is looking for. So I would say, make sure you make a list of crucial things that are important. Talk to Tina and then give me a call. And then we can decide together what's important to you, what's a must, and what you can live without. Because at the end of the day, we all have a budget. I haven't worked, unfortunately, or fortunately, with anyone who doesn't have a budget.
Yeah.
So when we work with a budget, there's pluses and minuses. So you always have to decide what's important to you, what's a must, and what's a good thing to have.
Absolutely. Couple minutes left here with you, but I want to ask just a couple questions. How many homes do you feel that you need to see before you can buy? Can you just rush in and buy that first one?
Honestly, every person is different. I've sold to clients who've seen 3 houses. I've sold to clients who've seen 50 homes. It just really depends on how picky you are and if you really know what you're looking for. Because if you've never owned a house, it might take you a little longer.
Yeah.
If you know exactly what you're looking for, it can be very quickly.
Okay. And then, we just answered literally how quickly can you get into a home? I mean, literally you can get into a home within 30 days if you get pre-approved and go out and find your home. And if you're working with me, you can literally get in a home in a couple of weeks because we can close in 2 weeks. So it's just putting all of that attention into there. So can
I do just a little pitch?
Yes,
so
please,
what I can
Vera.
tell you is, again, when we're negotiating, if you're pre-approved with Tina and you can close in 2 weeks, there's a high possibility you can get a much better deal from the seller, because that means for the seller, they'll get money quicker in their pockets. So they want to close as quickly as possible. And you're able to potentially save thousands of dollars by getting all of your stuff together before you start looking.
Yeah, thank you, Vera. So get all of that taken care of up front. So couple minutes left. I want to just leave it for you. And what's the last thing that you want to leave with the listeners?
Well, again, I'd love to hear from you. If you're thinking of buying or selling a home this year, give me a call, even if it's, it's months away, but you just want to talk to someone and understand the market. I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to connect you with professionals. If you need a contractor, if you need someone to do a remodel on your house before you list it, or if you want to talk to me and do maybe a conference call with me and Tina to see what's more, what we can get you for the house, how we can get you into the house, and just give me a call. Let's start a conversation. Let's see if we can get you into a home in this 2023. Let's make it better than 2022.
Yeah, I love that. Vera, thank you so much for everything that you're doing for our community with your expertise in real estate, both helping buyers and sellers and transitioning into the next journey and season in life. And I appreciate you taking time out of your busy career to share with my listeners here on 1150 AM KKNW.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Coming up next on the Money Hour, Keeping It Real Estate with Kimberly Story of Coldwell Banker Danforth, right here on 1150 AM KKNW. You are listening to the Money Hour on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, January 7th show, a new year for the show, which means new goals for you. And we're here to help you reach those goals. You can also listen to my show podcast, Facebook premiere, and you can catch my show on my show YouTube channel. I am your host and local mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell. I bring into studio each week the best of the best experts in our local market on everything regarding your money. And now in studio, I have Kimberly Story of Coldwell Banker Danforth, Keeping It Real Estate with Kim, right here on 1150 AM KKNW. Kim, welcome back into the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Tina.
I love the title, Keeping It Real Estate with Kim. That was so awesome. So really excited to talk more real estate with you as well, Kim. And what advice would you give a seller in today's market?
Yeah, I would say it's really important to have everything in order and buttoned up on your home. And really, in order to achieve that, partner with a great agent that has, highly recommended, good, reviews and whatnot from the very beginning. Sometimes sellers wait a little bit too long to start that process. And, an experienced agent is going to be able to help you with what really needs to be done to get your home market ready to then get the most out of your home, because you're selling a huge asset. And with this market, the way it's shifted, buyers want things good to go. Don't skimp on the landscaping. Don't skimp on the cleaning. If there's some paint that needs to be done, you just need to go take care of it, because buyers want homes to look good, and it needs to be properly marketed as well. So, which is another reason to partner early with an agent, because a great agent is going to help you properly market your home.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to have the best of the best in how that's presenting to the buyers. And only a real estate agent and a great real estate agent is going to help you be able to strategize on where you should be putting your money that's going to have the biggest bang for the buck, and ultimately get most profitable. And I like how you mentioned marketing too, Kim, because a lot of agents, they just don't have the resources financially to be able to market. And that's another reason why you have to work with an agent that does a lot of business in our local market like you, that you're really investing in the strategies and helping the seller understand what that looks like and how to maximize that property, for sure. So what advice, if we flip it to your other hat, when you're helping buyers, what advice would you give to a buyer in today's market?
Yeah, for buyers, I would say, we've had this shift where buyers have a little bit more time now. You can do your due diligence versus the first half of 2021 or 2022. I mean, and all of 2021 really was crazy. It was fast paced. You had to make a decision right away. So you have a little bit of time to do your due diligence and figure out the area you want to live, location, features in a home. But at the same side of that, to realize that we are in about 2 months supply of inventory, which is actually still considered a seller's market. And some buyers think they can wait on things. And there's homes that sure, they're on the market for 3 weeks, but when we're looking at a lot of our neighborhoods in the MLS are, averaging 29 days in market and whatnot. If you see a home that's getting close to that, there's probably other buyers that are going to be interested too. So if you see a home you like, don't wait too long to act on it. Because there are buyers out there interested, and it's definitely shifted in favor of buyers right now, but it's not 100% a buyer's market.
Yeah, and it's so funny because how perception can be so different. It's like, what happened? A home used to sell in 24 hours. Well, the reality is we really don't want that market. We want more of a balanced market. And as Kim said, we're really not even in a balanced market based on how the average of how homes are going. We're still kind of in a seller's market. So it's just that perception. And really, this is the best market to be in to help sustain what we're looking for. And again, the buyers actually have an opportunity to get into something much easier. So Kim, what is the biggest mistake that you see sellers making in today's market?
Yeah, the biggest mistake is sellers can be pricing their home too high right now. And I know it's really hard when you see what your neighbor sold their home for 6 months ago. You want that price, but that's not where we're at. And it's very detrimental. Even to just go a little too high can be really detrimental in this market. And realistically, you have to ask yourself as a seller, some sellers are going to sell and then become a buyer. Some sellers are just selling because maybe it's investment property. But when you're a buyer, if you're a buyer, do you want to overpay for something, or do you want something that's a deal or value? And right now, buyers want a good deal, a good value property, and if you need to price it accordingly, because all the best marketing, staging, home prep in the world will not do anything if you have it overpriced.
Yeah, and once it's overpriced and it sits on the market, then you're starting to get into some real challenges in being able to sell that home and get a great profit for it. And that's another reason I can't say how important, and the why behind creating this show 11 years ago was to get you in front of the best when it comes to money, because you have to work with a local real estate agent that has the expertise, and is one of the best of the best. And Kim is definitely that. So Kim, what is the biggest mistake that you're seeing that buyers are making in today's real estate market?
So big mistake buyers are making right now are the ones that are sitting on the fence, because you talked about it earlier. If you have a good job and you have money for a down payment, and you don't need a lot of money for a down payment right now, you definitely don't need 20% down. We can often get closing costs paid for by the sellers. A lot of my buyer clients are getting sellers to pay for all their closing costs. Tina has great rate buy down programs that we won't, get into on this, but there's really ways that you can leverage. You have a little bit of money for a down payment, 3% even, or VA 0%, and you get the sellers to pay your closing costs, and you can get it on a property. And really, like, the best way, and I truly believe this, is someone who owns several properties, is the best way to grow wealth is in real estate. So you're making a huge mistake as a buyer if you're just sitting and waiting for the interest rates to go down, because guess what? When the interest rates go down, the pricing goes a lot higher. And making that check, you're paying down someone else's mortgage when you're writing a check to your landlord every month, instead of you could be paying down your own mortgage.
Yes, you don't want this to be a missed opportunity, because right now that's exactly what it is, as an opportunity. And you don't want to look back and go, wow, I really missed on that opportunity. Depending on your price range, you can also look at down payment assistance programs, and you do
Right.
not have to be a first time buyer for that either. So, and then Kim can figure out how to get the seller to pay closing costs and prepaids, whether it's negotiating that or increasing the price to get the seller to agree to do it, depending, as we talked before, how that home is listed as far as the price goes. So Kim, how do sellers, how are they able to create multiple offers when we've had this shift in the market?
Well, one way is you do things to the home that can make the home look a lot more attractive. So right now, buyers want move-in ready, updated. A lot of people that live in our region, Puget Sound region, work a lot, and they value their time outside of work to spend with family and friends, and doing home projects is not on most people's lists. And people are willing to do small things, but they don't want to do anything big. So the homes that are beautifully move-in ready and updated and then priced lower will actually get multiple offers in this market. We're not going to be seeing things like 10 offers, even 15 offers that we saw in all of 2021 and the first half of 2022, but we are still seeing homes, if they are extremely well presented and priced lower, you will see a couple buyers making offers on the same home.
Yeah, so the price is critically important, and it's such a skill for an agent to be able to master that and to shift in the market. So definitely make sure that you're, again, working with an agent that has those skills, and then listening to what they're advising you to do. So Kim, can you share a seller success story?
Yeah, actually, a recent seller success story was it was an estate sale. So the person who lived there had passed away, is no longer around, and the family, I met with them, and I took a look at the home, and the home was in very, very dire shape, extremely bad condition. It was really the exterior that was in really bad shape. It was in such bad shape you wouldn't be able to get a loan on it, because the steps were falling apart to the home. The roof was in bad shape. There was vegetation growing on the side of the house. And so it was not going to be financeable. So your options at that point was you have to sell to an investor all cash. And we doing analysis, looking at what had recently sold in the area, we figured an as is cash price for the property would have been $500,000. This is property located in Shoreline. And they said, you know what, we want to put a little bit of money into this. We want to try to get a lot more out of this asset. And so went through a list of things that really absolutely needed to be done. And the biggest thing, let's get this so that people who need loans can buy this home. And so the the total spend, and really we actually learned after talking to multiple roofers, we just need to do a really good clean of the roof, a moss removal, painted the exterior, new steps in the front and the back of the home, super good deep cleaning, cleaning the carpets, some paint touch up on the inside. I mean, the landscaping was atrocious. It's incredible landscaping. And then I staged it, marketed it. We listed it for $675, and we actually ended up getting 4 offers, and it sold for $720. And
Wow.
their spend, they did a little bit of investment. They spent $38,000 to, get that point. But when we were looking at zero money, 500,000 versus 38,000 and 720, and we didn't do everything. There was still a lot more things that could have been done, but it was like, this is what we can do to get you a lot more. And we didn't do a kitchen remodel. We didn't do we didn't do any interior remodeling, but we had excellent curb appeal. And, again, they were able to get multiple offers in this market.
That is the difference between working with one of the best of the best and working with an agent that is not one of the best of the best. Huge success story. Thank you so much for sharing that, Kim. What about a buyer success story?
Yeah. So recently worked with these buyers, and we saw a home had been on the market for, it was almost 3 months on the market. So that's a long time on the market. And homes like that, if they've been on the market for a long time, I'm not afraid to really go for it as far as going in low when I'm representing the buyer. And so my clients, they really wanted the price lower plus a closing costs concession. They really wanted about 50,000 combined from where the price was. And so I told them, I go, instead of asking for the price to be lower plus closing costs, in the eyes of the seller, it looks bad. I said, let's just come in 100,000 under. And they wanted to be, again, like about 50,000 under. And so I said, let's just go lower in the price, 100,000. If we go, 70,000 lower in price, 30,000 in closing costs, they're not going to like the way that is presented. It just doesn't look good in their eyes. So we went 100,000 under. Oh, and I also had learned that the seller had been, essentially his daughter had been living in the home. So it wasn't his personal residence. We're not going to be offending anybody here. He never actually lived in the home. It was a rental. And then his daughter had lived in the home while he owned it, and he had a lot of equity in the property. So we felt that this would still, we wanted to stay in the game. We wanted them to counter us. So we went 100,000 under, and they came back with countering us 40,000 more. So essentially 60,000 under.
Yep.
And where my clients really wanted to be, they were thrilled with that. And so we came back and said, hey, actually what would make better sense for my clients, we want 30,000 in closing costs for the rate buy down program, and then the price lower by 30,000. And they agreed to that, and we moved on towards closing. So they got basically 60,000 off in terms of price and credit. But I know we wouldn't have gotten that if we had tried to go both ways. So you just have to be strategic in, your approach, but there's definitely, buyers can get discounts right now on properties.
Yeah. And that is so great to listen to that process of strategically. I know ultimately the end goal of what we're going to do, but here's what we're going to do to get that negotiating started, and then to be able to do that, and also recognizing the emotional connection or not because of the type of the seller. So it's really gathering all the information and doing all of that work up front that makes all of the difference in those huge wins that you're able to see. So unique thing that you offer for your clients, Kim?
I am I like to have a very hands-on approach. So with me, you're going to get me doing the negotiations with you. I'm the person you can text and call for anything that comes up anytime. I don't actually return calls in 3 a.m, but
I hope not.
I'll see them when I wake up, and I'll get back right away. But I'm very hands-on, white glove approach. And I don't pawn things off on, somebody else to handle. It doesn't matter if I'm, selling a multi-million-dollar property or, a smaller, 2-bedroom, 1-bath home or a condo. Every client gets the same level expertise from me and the same attention from me.
the same white glove approach, no matter if you're buying your first time condo or the luxury home. Kim, thank you so much for being here in virtual studio with me. It's always great to have you in and showcase the amazing things that you're doing in our local community when it comes to real estate. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Tina. Always great to chat with you and be here.
Yeah. And again, a big shout out to both of my guests that were here today, leading experts in the real estate space. Reach out to the show at themoneyhour.com and I can connect you with either Vera or Kim if you want to set a time to have an initial consultation, complimentary, to talk about strategies on buying your next home or selling your home, or doing a little bit of both, buying and selling. Tina Mitchell, your host and your local mortgage expert, signing off for this Saturday. I look forward to talking with you more money next weekend, right here on 1150 AM KKNW.